Hey guys, I know a lot of you watch this channel to kind of see the budget gear that I get into review, whether that be knives or multi-tools or flashlights or, pistol red dots, scopes, just, AR accessories, whatever it might be. And if you're watching because of the budget gun stuff, you probably have come across this guy's channel at some point. This is 704 Tactical. The guy who runs this channel's name is Brian. I've followed this channel personally for probably 8 years now. We're close to it. I think that when I started following him, he had, 10 or 20,000 subscribers, and he's up to over 2 million now. It's a huge channel. And he started a second channel called 704 Gear, where he focuses just on gear, like no shooting usually on this channel. So anyway, a few months ago, Brian decided to start his own knife company. And he actually reached out to me and asked if I'd be willing to take a look at a couple of his knives and just give some honest opinions on them. So I believe right now he has around 5 that are in production and available on websites and on Amazon. And I'm sure that there's going to be more that's going to be developed at some point soon. But I figured I'd do an unboxing of one of these. If something's different in the other, I'll show that too. What he has sent is the Urban Ranger. And one of them is the Urban Ranger Lite, and it looks like they're both in black, but kind of show you around the box. And then let's get this opened up and see kind of how they come. Looks like there's a case with them, like a zippered case, branded. Okay, looks like we have a lifetime warranty. There's a website you can go to. Couple little stickers. Looks like a cleaning cloth. Inside of that. And the knife itself. And then we get the other one out now. The contents in the second one was exactly the same, except for it included the Urban Ranger Lite, obviously. Before we start going over all the details, I'm just going to give you guys some close-ups here. We'll go over all the features and specifications here in just a minute, but just kind of want to give you guys a quick side-by-side comparison of the two there. So both of the Urban Rangers are using D2 steel. There is Damascus available as well. They both have black G10 handles, and there is a green available as well. And they both have drop point style blades. The full-size Urban Ranger has a blade length of 3.74 inches, a handle length of 4.72 for a total length of 8.46 inches. The Lite has a blade length of 2.91 inches, handle length of 3.86 inches for a total length of 6.77 inches. The Ranger, the blade height is right about an inch for most of it. It's 1.3 inches right here, and it's right at basically a ½ inch wide, and the blade thickness is 0.11 inches. The Ranger Lite is about 0.84 for the blade height most of the way, and then right at an inch right there, and the thickness is actually the exact same. It's 0.52. So these two knives are the exact same thickness. And the blade thickness on the Lite was also 0.11 inches. The full-size Ranger weighs 5.1 ounces, and the Ranger Lite 3.4 ounces. They both have deep carry pocket clips. Appears to be the exact same clip on both of them, and they are reversible. They are using some type of ball bearing pivot in there, and that is adjustable, so you can change the tension on it. These are using liner locks. Hopefully you can see this, but the lockup does go to about half of the middle there, and they are like full frame. They have a little bit of jimping on the flipper itself, a little bit of jimping then on the top of the blade, and then some texturing here on that liner. They also do have a finger choil to allow you to have a little more control. It's not the deepest one ever, but there is one on both of them. Try to show you guys what the centering looks like of both of them, and to my eyes it looks just about perfect. Out of the box, I'll show you guys the detent here. You do have to close it, I'd say like probably close to 90% before you can feel the detent take over. So you can see most of the blade was hidden right there at the very end. Right there is when so you don't really have to worry about your finger getting stuck in there or it accidentally closing on you. But it is very positive once that kicks in. And I'll show you the full size Ranger here. Alright, show you guys the action on both of them. Again, full size here. Just the slightest little flick and it comes right out. Very, very smooth. No issues whatsoever. And you can do everything one-handed as well. No issues with that. Let's check out the light. Very, very smooth as well. You can tell that they're using pretty good materials and are actually assembled pretty well. I brought out a spring-assisted knife just to see if the flipper is any slower or how much slower. It's probably going to be milliseconds and you won't even be able to notice, but I'll show you on this. You can see how that will just pop open basically on its own. And now this would be like with normal use. I mean, it does like just, I mean, it just flies out of there. So let's see if there's a whole lot of difference. Honestly, I don't even think so. I mean, that thing comes out so fast too that in normal use, I can't even hardly tell a difference. So yeah, these are very, very fast opening. I showed earlier in the video how that liner lock comes almost halfway over, but I want to show you guys if there's any blade play here. So I'm pushing really hard and there's maybe just the tiniest wiggle. But I think for most tasks, you're not going to notice any of that at all. Like I'm really kind of cranking on that. I can get a little bit of movement right there, but not much. Let's see what the full size is like. Yeah, just the tiniest bit. But again, I think with normal everyday tasks, I don't think it's going to move really at all. So let's check out the sharpness of these. Again, right out of the box, I haven't done anything with them. They supposedly are like professionally sharpened. I assume like wherever they're assembled. And it's some proprietary technique called Pro Edge honing. But we'll just kind of see what the D2 again is like right out of the box. Let's check out the full size Ranger here. Some of it's once a piece of paper gets a wrinkle in it, or fold or bend, it doesn't want to slice as cleanly. Alright, let's see if they're sharp enough to shave. It is cutting the hair off, but not the cleanest cuts. And let's check out the light. So they are cutting some hair, but not as sharp as other knives that I've had out of the box. Alright, gonna try cutting some other things. I have some rope here, and this is the kind that's like sometimes hard to get through with some knives. It's like got just so many different like fibrous strands. So let's see what these 704 gear ones can do. So it did go through. I was pulling pretty hard. I'm not going to say that was the cleanest cut either. That was a little bit better me sliding along it versus just trying to pull straight through. So what I did on that second one was I started here and I basically like pulled the knife so it's sliding along. Let's try the full size one here. I'm going to do a straight cut first like I did the first time. Yeah, that's actually a little bit cleaner. And then now let's slide it along. So we'll start here. What I'm looking for is how many fibers pop out on the table. That kind of tells me how clean the cut was. So yeah, this one seems to be a little bit sharper out of the box than what the light one is. And finally, let's try to do some cardboard here. We'll just kind of go through. It's obviously corrugated. Now that actually sliced that off really clean and easily. This is the light right now that I'm using. And as you can see, those are very clean cuts on that. Let's try the full size. Yeah, those are nice cuts on it. Straight down. Go back to the light again. Very clean. Little effort. Having that drop point is good if you do need to do any type of like plunge cuts and then come down, but something where you need to start and then spear into it and then slice it down. And here is the full size, just to kind of show you what that deep carry pocket clip looks like, how much of the knife is going to be sticking up, how much of the knife is in your pocket here. Again, that's the full size. And then the light. Very similar on how much is going to show up, and then obviously it's going to be a smaller footprint in your pocket. So I've been carrying and using these Rangers for the past 3 to 4 weeks or so, and just want to share some of my thoughts with you guys. And the majority of my thoughts are going to be based on the Urban Ranger Lite, because that's actually the one I have been carrying. My area kind of does have some knife laws about blade length being less than 3 inches, and with this being 2.91, it's the one I've carried. This is my typical daily carry, a Benchmade mini grip tilion, and it also has the really short blade length. So I've been using this one for most of my daily tasks, kind of like what I showed earlier in the video. You're mostly opening up Amazon packages and breaking down boxes. I do like that it's using the D2 steel. There is a little bit of marring, a little bit of wearing, but I don't see any of the finish coming off of the blade yet. And again, this is with 3 weeks of daily use. But the D2, basically, it's a good budget steel. It's not a premium steel, but D2, you can usually get a pretty good edge on it It does keep its edge pretty well, and it's usually like corrosion resistant, so it's a decent steel. I like that they're using G10 on the handles. For those of you that don't know, basically G10 is like a high pressure fiberglass. It's super strong, durable. The finish doesn't usually wear off of it, like the grooves that are in here. It doesn't usually wear down. It's moisture resistant. It's usually impact resistant. So if you dropped it from 4 or 5 feet up or whatever, it's usually not going to crack or break on you. It's super lightweight. It gives a pretty good grip in your hand. I like that they have finger choils, which again, it does allow you to do a lot more like intricate work, whether it's like with food that you have to do like fine slicing with, or if you're doing some type of woodworking. I do kind of wish that these were a little bit deeper though, especially on this one here. When you put your finger here, you're kind of right on this corner right there, and it does kind of dig in, and I do have big fingers, but it does kind of like dig in just a little bit. So I do wish I was just a little bit deeper. And besides being able to do like those detailed cuts, having a choil actually makes like the knife more balanced in your hand. And it also does improve your safety so that your finger doesn't go down the blade. And speaking of that, the flipper almost does become like a finger or a hand stop if you're back here then, so that you don't slip that way. And then again, that it's not necessarily jimping, it kind of is, but the texturing right there gives you something to kind of hold on to, and then with the jimping up on top there, so it does feel really solid in your hand, and it feels like it doesn't want to slip beyond that. So the Urban Ranger Lite is not heavy by any means. It's 3.4 ounces, but I will say that they could save some weight if they skeletonize those liners. It probably would add cost to the manufacturing process, but they could definitely get into the maybe 2.6, 2.7 ounce range. But then that would mean that the handle's maybe not as strong. Like I can squeeze practically as hard as I can, and that does not give at all. It's super solid. So I talked earlier in the video about how smooth the action is, even left-handed. I don't have any trouble flipping these things open at all. But I would almost recommend being more aggressive with the jimping that's up here on this top. It's actually almost smooth as you get out here toward the ends on both of these versions. And your finger is kind of coming at that tip right there. So I would make those cuts way deeper to make that more aggressive. And speaking of that flipper, I would maybe consider making a model, and I know they do have at least 4 or 5 other models besides the Ranger, and I'm not familiar with all of them, but I would consider maybe doing some thumb studs or thumb holes. So again, this is my normal carry, and you can see how flat it is on this side. For probably the last 30 years, I've always carried cash in my right front pocket. And so it's down in here like this, and like when my normal EDC knife goes in, is completely flat, and then when I reach in there to get it, it's flat. Whereas with this one, I noticed it maybe 3 or 4 times over the last few weeks, whereas when it would be in here and I would go to reach down, that corner right there would kind of catch on my hand a little bit. And I know all flippers do that. It's not this knife or anything. But maybe consider making every model with thumb studs or something along that. Because again, when my hand would go in there, it would be this side here. I would go to reach in there like this, and then that bottom of that flipper would be hitting my pinky finger as I would go in there. But again, that's just a really minor complaint, and really just a suggestion. So at the time of me recording this video, both of these knives are available on Amazon and also on 704 Gear's page. The Urban Ranger Lite is coming in at $23 right now for the black or the olive drab green. The full-size Urban Ranger is coming in at $28. If you want it with the Damascus steel, it's $38. And if you want the olive drab green in the full size, it's $38. But $28 for the black full size, $23 for the light. And I'll leave those Amazon links in the video description, as well as his website links. I will say that the Amazon listings are a little bit cheaper than the website. So yeah, I think for the pricing and for the quality of the materials, the D2 steel, the G10 handles, just the ball bearings, just everything about them is pretty decent. And in fact, I'm planning on picking up a couple more of his knives. I see he's got this Fang and this Hornet that do have thumb studs. He's got a few others down there. Here's a Blitz. So he's got multiple other knives on here. Midnight Scout. So yeah, go over and check out his stuff on Amazon. You know, Brian over at 704 Tactical, 704 Gear has been a huge Second Amendment supporter pretty much ever since he's been on YouTube. And let's go show him some support and get a few of his knives. But all right, guys, if you found the video helpful or informative in any way, please give me a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. And that's going to be it on this one. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it.